All right, welcome back in Bronco Nation. This is another episode of Blue Turf Talk. My name is Chris Van Sickle. I'm excited to be here today to introduce a fan that I've gotten to know really well on X, and then we've been texting, and I said, why don't you come on to the show and let's hear your side of the story. Welcoming us today is Patrick Romero. How you doing, Patrick?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Bronco Nation.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. But like I said, we've interacted quite a bit on X or Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, and I haven't talked about it much so far, but one of the biggest visions I have for this new media outlet that we're trying to build is a place that's for Bronco fans, built by Bronco fans, and bringing guys like Patrick on is something I'm really excited. And I hope Patrick becomes just a regular. We'll see. Maybe he'll hate it. I don't know. But I think it's very, very cool to get to know the fans. So you as the viewers will probably see several new faces. And if you're interested in coming on and talking, hit me up, send me a DM. I can't promise I'm going to take you, especially if you're throwing some crazy stuff out there, but hey, we'll see. Patrick, I give you the floor. Talk about yourself. Talk about your fandom with Boise State, how that started, and what you're doing these days.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bronco Nation. Yes, so I am even though I live in Roseville, California, just outside Sacramento, I'm an Idaho boy through and through. I was born in Nampa, Idaho. I was adopted and moved to California, but my heart is still in Boise, in Idaho. I have a lot of family up there. My cousin is a Boise firefighter and he works alongside Ethan Danielson, which they got me this cool little autographed ball by Spencer that says "Go Broncos." That's awesome. That was awesome. He got me that. So my first experience on the blue was I took notes. It's been so long. Was back in 2000. I was about 13, 14 years old. My cousin at the time was playing with Eastern Washington. And yes, I cheered for him, but I immediately fell in love with the school, the fans, the turf. Who doesn't fall in love with the blue the first time? The passion, the crowd was loud, roaring, even if it was just Eastern Washington. That was the first exposure of it. And Boise ended up winning 41-23. My cousin did pretty well, got 2.5 sacks. So, good for him as an individual. But Boise still got the W like they always do on the blue. They really make you work for it. But that was the first exposure. The quarterback at the time was Bart Hendricks, and I was looking back at the scorecard. Ryan Dinwiddie made his first appearance with the Broncos too, and that's my favorite quarterback in Boise State history. I know Kellen Moore, but I'm a Ryan Dinwiddie guy. That's who got me.
There you go.
And then Brock Forsey, Quinn Michael, the safety who played some time with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So, it was a good team looking back at it. So I just became instantly hooked, started following them every single game, giving my cousin crap for Boise beating them so bad. But that's what got me hooked on it, and I've been following ever since. I originally got accepted into Boise State when I graduated high school, but unfortunately, I wanted to be a firefighter at the time, so I decided to go the JC route and then up to Sac State. But I calculated my sophomore year would have been the year Jared Zambransky took the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma. I'm like,
yeah, you kind of missed out on that one.
Yeah, no, I did miss out on that one. But you know what? I saw it from the TV at home jumping, and Roseville is a funny place. I see more Bronco fans up here than I do Sac State fans or any other fans. So whenever I see a light, this morning I was driving, I saw a license plate that said Boise State alumni, so I gave them a little honk and showed them my hat. They give me a thumbs up. I'm like, all right.
That's awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So I've just been hooked ever since. I try to go up every 2 years to go see a game. But this year I've been saving my hard-earned money, and I'm going to go to Notre Dame, book my flights, book my hotel, just need to book the rental car and the game day tickets. But I'm pumped. Got my black Ashton Genty jersey in the mail. So
nice.
Ready to go.
You're
pump
prepared.
Bronco Nation.
Attaboy. And I just have to throw this out here, and I don't know, maybe the viewers will agree or disagree, but has Patrick Romero and Bert Kreischer ever been seen in the same room? That's the same person. I don't understand. I'm confused.
I am the machine.
You are. Keep your shirt on. Keep your shirt on.
No, nobody wants
to see that. It's not that
kind
of show.
Yeah, the family show.
Anyways, so just to kind of and thank you for explaining your story, Patrick. I think that's a super fun thing to do. To hear fans' stories. Everybody has a different story. I grew up here. You know, I hear fans all over. I've met fans that came from different countries. I mean, it's wild how far Boise State's reach really is, and I do believe it has a lot to do with the Blue Turf. You said so.
Sure.
Super cool to hear your story. Let's get started. Today's episode is something that I want to kind of try out. I hope fans enjoy it. If you don't, in the comments, just tell me that we're awful and we suck and this is awful. But question and answer. It's really simple. I like having the fans be part of this program. I think the interaction helps, and so we want to hear your questions. I've cut some from Facebook and X, and in the future, if you have a question, you can DM me. You can just post it in the comments, whichever. But this is a new thing that we're trying, and I want to give it a shot and see how folks like it. So let's go and get started. This is going to be mostly about spring football. Today, obviously, in a couple hours, this is being recorded on Saturday. Boise State is in the Mountain West Championship game. Cross your fingers. Let's go Broncos. Huge game. But until then, let's talk some football. So let's go and get started. Scott Ford, Chris, how's the interior D-line looking? It's probably our most replaced area, so hoping for some good news on the D front. So I've been there's been 3 practices so far, so it's a very small sample size. I've been to 2 of them. The D line looks good. It looks deep, honestly. A couple of the transfers. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Keanu Mayaloto and David Latu. I'm excited to see those guys impact. David Latu is playing more of the nose guard position, is from what I've seen. But a guy that I was really surprised with, and that's just from just standing there and watching him. Lopez Sanusi, a young man from, let me make sure I messed this up the other one. So I'll make sure Dublin, Ireland. Yes. All right. Dublin, Ireland is massive. I think he's going to play a lot. I'm excited to see what he can do. Patrick, let's throw it over to you. Where do you see? Who do you think is going to step in? We lose Herbert Gums, and we lost Sheldon Newton, 2 massive pieces in this defensive line that were great run stuffers and frankly just kind of kept the linebackers clean. Who do you see stepping into that role?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to replace that type of production that we saw there. The whole defensive line, except for Virgil. So 55 sacks is going to be hard to replace. But you know what? Yeah. My eye is on Braxton Feely. I haven't seen much spring practice yet, but like you said, David Latu and Deion Washington. I was looking back. I think Braxton Feely is going to be used a lot more. He had 5.5 sacks last year. Deion Washington had 2 sacks, and I'm excited to see what David Latu does. They're both big bodies. David Latu weighing at 305, 6'4", paired with Braxton Feely. I think that's going to really do well for not just the run game, but they're also really fast and explosive guys too. So I think they're going to get a lot of rush up the middle.
Yeah, and you mentioned a guy that I'm excited to see as well, and is Deion Washington, transfer originally from Nevada, then went to Hawaii, and now is here on the Blue. He is the most experienced of the transfers, and I'm excited to see what he can do. He had a great game last year against the Broncos. Had a couple of tackles for loss and a sack, I believe. So excited to see Deion Washington. I'm definitely going to call him Zion Washington several times, and I'm gonna do my best. But excited to see that. Stepping from the interior to the outside of that, Ahmad Hossein had an amazing season. Went to the combine, impressed. He's on his way to the NFL, but we got to replace him now. Who are you seeing that, or who do you think when you look at that roster could step into that role?
Yeah, I was just doing some homework last night. At first I had Max Deej.
Yeah.
But also, like we talked about earlier, Bol, but also Malachi Williams, who was pumped when he transferred to Boise from Idaho. He's huge, fast, explosive. He was a team captain, a lot of tackles for a loss, which I love.
Yep.
So I'm really excited to see him on the opposite side of Virgil, or if he when he gets his chance.
Yeah, and Malachi, that's a good call on Malachi Williams. He came to Boise, and he had an impressive list of offers. And like you said, I think it's important to say he was a multi-year captain for Idaho at a time when Idaho, for the Vandals, had some success. So excited to see him come in. Max Deege is a guy that I totally agree with. When he was on the field last season, he showed a lot. Has a lot of success. From Germany, Boise loves that international flavor. So excited to see what Max Deege can do as well.
For sure.
So, Scott, I hope that answered your question. We'll move on to the next one here. Hoping to see more trick plays, weird formation center, eligible, more play action, a lot more stingy defense. Okay, so, yeah. Nate Potter comes in, takes over for Dirk Cutter. I can tell you, I'm not going to give any trade secrets away or give you the play call or nothing because I don't know it either. But from what I've seen so far in spring practice in the small sample size, this offense is going to be more creative. I talked to Roger Carrion. Please go check out that interview. Roger is a great guy, has the largest hands I've ever seen in my life. When I shook his hands, it engulfed my entire hand. I'm not a small guy. And I felt tiny. So, anyway, sorry, I got distracted. Roger in my interview made it clear that the screens are a big emphasis of theirs. Dirk Cutter last season flat out said they were not a good screen team, and that's something that if you don't know, that mostly has to do with the offensive lineman getting downfield, but also being nimble enough to stay in front of their player. So that's something that Roger made clear that's something they're working on. I'll also point out that there was some other stuff, some end arounds maybe. I'm not gonna give it too much away. Danielson, I can say he mentioned in the press conference there was a double pass. And that was in the first practice of spring. So that's kind of exciting to see. Patrick, throwing it over to you. What do you think we're going to see different in this offense? Running the ball, that's going to be the focus. But what do you think Nate Potter can do a little different than Dirk Cutter?
Well, that's a good call. The first off, I'm just really pumped with this offensive line that they've developed. Not just that, but the depth as well too. You have Miles Walker, who's running with the 2s or the 3s, so the tackles are good. When you talk about trick plays and timing, it's all about the offensive line too. You got to make sure that you give the quarterback time to set up, and the running backs and the receivers too. So I think we're going to be really good there. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Nate Potter could do with this offense. Be a little creative and hopefully have that Dirk Cotter from the sideline or his senior analyst role to see what they can do. But I would love to see more play action and screen passes. I know we definitely have the speed for it as well with Sire Gaines, Dubar, and my under the radar guys, Sherrod, the transfer from Fresno State. I'm excited to see what the three-headed monster could do. Maybe all three of them could combine to see what Ashton Genty did last year. So you never know. But the tight ends as well. I think the tight ends will be used very well in this offense too.
I agree.
I love what they did last year. It always seemed like they came up big on 3rd and short or 4th and long. The tight ends were always there, beat the linebacker, and found that empty space to get the clutch first down. So I love our tight ends in this offense.
And I don't think I don't think we'll really grasp how amazing it is until he moves on to the NFL. But the fact that Matt Lauder stayed when he could, I'm sure his agents were blowing him up trying to get him to go elsewhere. That is an NFL tight end. He may have been able to leave the NFL last season and get drafted. Definitely would have got signed, but I don't know if we can fully understand yet how important Matt Lauder and keeping Matt Lauder is going to be for this season. not just for his catching ability, which is amazing, but for his blocking ability. He was unbelievable as a blocker. Keeping him also allows for a really talented second tight end in Matt Wagner. I would have felt totally comfortable with Matt Wagner taking over as the number one. But the fact that we could keep those two while also having more depth there is huge. So we
completely agree.
Question, but that's a good call. I think I'm excited to see Nate Potter try some new stuff. Running the ball still definitely going to be the biggest part of this offense. I don't think that's ever gonna change. But I'm excited to see what we can do. So we'll move on here. How do the wide receivers look? Young guys, are any young guys standing out? Wide receivers tough. Honestly, early on, really, really early on. That's the group that I'm maybe the most concerned about. I love Maddox Matson. I love what he brings to the team, but he needs some players that can be explosive for him. And so far, the guys that you have lining up with the ones don't necessarily strike me as all that explosive. Now, I will say Chris Marshall, who had a tough season last year, had the ankle injury, never really came back healthy. I think he played a couple snaps in the Fiesta Bowl. Really was never himself. He is not participating in the team portion. I will say he is playing in the 7-7 portion and is playing well. So excited to see Chris Marshall be fully healthy. So far, Latrell Caples has also not participated. Not shocking. Dude's a veteran, knows what he's doing. So the wide receivers, the ones that are practicing, they look fine. Not, super pumped so far, but get Caples out there, get Marshall. And then I think, we're going to talk about – I'm going to toss it over to you about some true freshmen, but there's definitely a couple true freshmen that I think could play wide receiver. One of them, Quentin Brown. Guy has Olympic-level speed. But, Patrick, going over to you, I know you've expressed some concern on social media about the wide receiver group and possibly wanting to add somebody, which I do believe the Broncos are still looking to add some talent there.
For sure.
Who do you think is going to kind of step into that role? And with Cam Camper leaving, who's going to take on more responsibility?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Chris. I'm pumped to see Quentin Brown. I love watching his highlights and his track meets too. This guy is fast, explosive. And have you seen him bench? He is strong too. Don't let that little size, man. He will knock you on your butt if you let him. But I'm also excited to see Cameron Jones too. I was watching film on him too. The way he creates separation, finds openings to get the ball to. He's got good hands too. But like we were talking about, maybe later on in this season. But yeah, I'm very concerned too, just with the amount of veteran leadership on the team too from the wide receiver. I mean, overall, I think Boise State retained 70% of the players from last year, which is good. But the receivers took a little hit. I wish Cam Camper came back, but hey, I understand, man. Go chase your dreams, dude. Go represent Bronco Nation in the NFL. But yeah, Cable's one of my favorites. Hopefully Chris Marshall can get motivated, get healthy, and lean on Spencer Danielson for some of that motivation and mojo, man. Bring it. He has all the traits and the talents. It's all up here. I think that's what Spencer Danielson does the best, is get people out of their heads, fall in love with the game, and hopefully he will utilize his second chance to create plays for us when we need him. But Quentin Brown, man, I can't wait for next year to see him just explode. I think he'll start off on kick returns and punt returns, utilize that speed right away, get used to doing the route running with the and then but he's fast. I can't wait.
He's unbelievable. Moving on to the next question. Let's go. This is Falk. I've interacted with Falk quite a bit. He's a really great guy. He loves the offensive line. He really loves the offensive line because he played offensive line for Boise State. He wants me to cover more of the offensive line, and I'm happy to do that. I played offensive line as well. What I've seen from the offensive line so far, which in spring practice, nothing is completely 100% live. So take this with a grain of salt. But I mean, look at what we got coming back here. We're talking Cage Casey at left tackle, former future first round pick, in my opinion. Mason Randolph, Roger Carrion, right tackle out there. We'll see. Hall Schmidt. I didn't love the way he finished the season last year. I felt like he was definitely hurt. I can say that. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I felt like Dylan Matoyer was kind of nipping at his heels there for playing time. And then you toss in Miles Walker, a guy who comes from Ohio State. Anytime you come from one of those true blue blood, just won national championships not long ago, last season, you're going to have high expectations. But overall, I think there's a lot of depth there. You consider Jason Steele, Jake Steele. I can't remember let me find his name here. Zach Holmes. These guys have starting. They've started. They've seen plenty of playing time. Yep. So, offensive line is going to be where everything starts with this team. No question about it. Boise State wants to run the ball, and they are suited to do just that. And talking about that rushing game, Patrick, I'm curious what you think. With Ashton Gentry leaving, the stable of running backs is unbelievable. Do you think that there'll be even a 1,200-yard rusher on this team just because, and they're going to rush for a lot, obviously.
Yep.
But there's going to be so much cycling in. Do you think we'll have a 1,200-yard rusher?
Yeah, I think so. I think Sire Gaines is probably going to be the one to do it because before he got injured, he was averaging 7.8 yards a carry, which is insane. Which shows even Ashton at the end of the season, after all those carries, he was averaging 7. So I think Sire is going to be the one to do it. But I love the three-headed horseman of running backs. Keep them fresh too. Yeah. So yeah, I think Sire Gaines will be the one to do it.
Right. Yeah, and you got Sire. I do think Malik Sherrod is being undervalued, even by myself. I've said it on a prior podcast as well. When he signed, I was excited, but my expectations were more that he would be more of a special teams guy. No, this guy is legit. He very well could be RB2. So I'm excited to see that. You still have Dylan Riley, who I think will take a bigger role on special teams. He had that kick return for a touchdown last season. The special teams last season was just maybe the biggest head scratcher on the team. You just can't figure out what really happened there. Right. I've heard some conversations with Stacy Collins where Stacy Collins basically said, I don't know. I don't know what happened. It just didn't work. Give him another offseason, get some of his new recruits in there, and I think the special teams is going to be vastly improved. Let's go ahead and go to the next question. Thanks for the coverage. With cornerbacks, they were doing that in practice last fall too. Didn't translate. That's true. Most positions are set. Depth at wide receiver, defense line. Yes. Thank you, King Potato. That's a great name. Yes, I get it. I reported earlier, one of my observations was that the defensive backs are flying around, really playing well. I get it. Last fall, spring and fall, all we heard was Irby's playing amazing. And he didn't live up to that, in my opinion. I'm hopeful. I swear these guys are the most vocal group on the whole team. They are helping each other out. They're talking each other up. You got Amarion McCoy, which is just massive that he got that extra season. Jeremy Kirby, who I really do feel finished the season stronger than he started it. That Fiesta Boy made some plays, and then the Mountain West Championship game against he made some good plays. I'm also really excited from what I've seen with Franklin Johnson Jr., number 16. I believe he's going to be, let me make sure, redshirt sophomore. Played a little bit last season, has great length, and has the speed to stay in the back pocket of any receiver that they're going to throw at you. So I get it. People are extremely frustrated. I feel bad for Demarion Warren right now, the cornerback coach. He's catching some flack, which is it his fault? I don't know. He's not the one going on the field. So we'll see. But overall, I think the defensive backs are going to be vastly improved. Zion Washington coming back, another guy I just interviewed. I hope you go check out that interview as well. His leadership last season, and it's only going to build into this season, has been great. Ty Benefield, another guy, kind of like Lauder, definitely could have left and go on to pretty much, I would guess, anywhere he wanted and made some bank, and he stayed. So I understand people's frustration, but I think these defensive backs are figuring it out.
Yeah.
When you look at what happened to the corners last season, Patrick, what do you think? I mean, just what was your initial reaction to some of their play?
Yeah, well, obviously it wasn't that good. Yeah, I think it was just a combination of things. It's hard to. I think Boise State had to utilize a lot of the blitz to generate a lot of pressure to get to the quarterback, which obviously leaves cornerbacks on an island, which is one-on-one, and then sometimes the defense or safeties bite a little too hard on some fakes. And you know what? Mountain West gets a lot of heat, but they had a lot of fast receivers that Boise State needed to adjust to. They had Nash from San Jose State, huge. He got gypped out of the best receiver at the ceremony. Where,
he did. You're absolutely
I
right.
think he should have won best receiver in the country. So he was hard to guard. Then UNLV had a couple of good receivers too. So, it's just I think cornerback's the hardest position on the field outside of quarterback.
I agree.
They also get a lot of blame too. But no, I'm excited. I think they got the experience they needed. Marion, McCoy, Banks, Irby, Benefield is a stud. Probably one of my favorite safeties that Boise State's ever had.
Yep.
I think they're gonna put them in a position to succeed now, and hopefully, with the monsters they have up in the middle, it'll make it a little easier to get more pass rush on the quarterback to force some turnovers, interceptions, and some pass deflections. But I'm very confident this year that they're gonna do a lot better than last year.
And you mentioned the guy. I'm glad you brought him up, Devon Banks. One of the biggest news from spring camp so far is that he's been moved to nickel. I think that's a really good fit. He showed, along with some struggles, but he really did show the ability to tackle well in space last season. I was really impressed with that. So I'm excited to see what he can do moving to nickel. I can also tell you that Jalen Webb, transfer from Kilgore College, going to be a junior, is seeing time at nickel as well. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I like comps, I like comparisons. He has the body type of George Iloka. Now, I know that's setting some pretty high, standards there. But I look at him and I see it. I see what he can do. I think he can be a great presence in the rush and the run stopping game. So I'm excited to see what happens there. So hang with this group, folks.
Yes.
They're gonna work. They're gonna figure it out, and they'll be improved. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Simple. I like this QB play. Maddox Matson's far and away number one. Let's put it that way. No, so Max Cutforth, Caleb Annett are playing with the twos. I don't think I don't think I'm breaking any news with that. And they look young. I'll put it that way. A guy that I really followed and I've interviewed, and he just walked on Jack Benson, a local guy from Eagle High School. Go Mustangs. Had a really rough first day. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I felt like reached out to Jack and saying, dude, it's going to get better, but that's not my place. And it did get better. His second day, he looked a lot better. So it's going to be all about just small improvements. I do think that Max Cutforth will end up being the backup. He's shown the ability. He's got the arm. And really, this offense is suited well for a young quarterback to come in and really lean on that running game. I pray Maddox Matson stays healthy, but if he doesn't and something happens, knock on wood, I think we'll be okay with Max Cutforth. Caleb Annett, the only other player on quarterback on scholarship other than Matson, has looked a little inaccurate in my opinion. I watched him last season on the scout team and felt the same way and thought, well, let's have him work with Zach Hill. I'm just not seeing much improvement so far. It's three practices in. He could make me eat all the crow, and I will be happy to do it. So, Caleb Bennett, I hope that you are he's working through it. I do think that it should be not forgotten how important it is to have Zach Hill come in. Some people are saying, well, he's got the NCAA rules at this point, saying that he can't recruit off campus. It's not the end of the world, really. It's a little different if you consider that next season's recruiting class already has their quarterback with Jackson Presley. So I'm not that worried about the inability for him to go off campus and recruit. And honestly, I'm just excited for him to be able to just sit back and focus on these quarterbacks. I can tell you Dirk Cutter has been at every practice so far, and I don't think that's going to change. So that's just another sounding board. Any thoughts on the quarterbacks, Patrick? It's really hard at this point to say much. The one thing I will add before I toss it over to you, I saw several impressive throws from Mad Dog that were of kind of what I would consider a layered throw, kind of a corner throw that he fit into a small window. So I am excited to see Mad Dog take on more responsibility. Anyways, I just wanted to toss it to Patrick. Talk to me real quick about the quarterbacks if you have anything. If you don't, that's totally fine. It's a hard position at this point.
Saw a lot of growth through Maddox the whole year. Faced a lot of adversity because I know a lot. Boise State was split on him, but I love him. I think he's gonna really blossom as a leader and the voice of the team this year, and help the backup quarterbacks too. He's his running ability is very underlooked too. I love how fast he is, and he could use his feet, which hopefully doesn't have to with the line protecting him, and he doesn't knock on wood something happens to him. But yeah, I think it's just get through this year, hopefully do well, and then bring in the new quarterback next year in Jackson Presley, and start working with Zach Hill. I'm pumped that Zach Hill was the addition to Boise State, and you know what? Even if he can't go on recruiting trips, he could at least talk to the evaluators who were going to see the quarterbacks and give them what to look for.
Yeah, it's really not the end of the world that he can't go off campus. I do feel like I totally agree with Mad Dog's running ability. I do feel that may be something that they build on with Nate Potter using some. Dirk Cutter flat out said that he didn't really know much about the RPO system, run pass option, and that's fine. He's old school. There's no doubt about that. But I am excited to see what Nate Potter can bring on a new wrinkle or two that gets Maddox off his spot and outside the pocket a little bit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. How's Madsen looking? Any deep balls? Madsen's looking great. He can spin it with the best of them. O-line, again, looking good. Sorry, I thought I deleted that one. Here it is. What's the deal with Chris Marshall? Last season, everyone was so hush-hush about it all season. I don't think hush-hush is the right way to put it. Boise State's never going to talk about injuries. Actually, stepping back from what that statement, they actually talk about him a lot more than they ever did with Andy Avila. So I do think that people should give Spencer Danielson and the media staff some credit. They give a lot more details than Andy Avalos and his crew ever did. So we know Chris Marshall was hurt, had a pretty serious ankle injury. He's working his way back, so I understand people's frustration. I don't think hush hush is quite the way to put it. You just can't tell any medical information. You know, that good old HIPAA laws. Boy, doesn't want any of that. So hang in there. We'll see what Chris Marshall can do. Patrick, you know, I appreciate you coming on again. We're going to wrap it up here. I wanted this to be just a quick, fun episode. Quite frankly, to get you on here, let you work through it. This is your first ever podcast, right?
Yeah, first ever. So I got a little jitters. So I messed up there a few times. Apologize, Bronco Nation. So it'll get better.
I've been doing podcasts for 2 years now, and I still mess up all the time. So it's all good. But, you know, I'm excited that you came on. You know, I hope Bronco Nation enjoys this. I hope we get more questions. If you don't like it, please let me know. But make sure to subscribe. I do also want to celebrate a little bit. Bronco Nation updates. I've only been covering for them for a couple 2 months now. But they just got to 500 subscribers on YouTube. And that is a huge testament to Nick, Wade, Sam, the entire crew that helps with that. Alexandra, I believe, helps out as well. So shout out to them. Congratulations. I hope I've helped. And I hope I help even more getting us to 1,000 and so on. So congratulations to them. And hey, a couple more hours. Let's watch some basketball, right, Patrick?
Let's go Broncos. Bleed blue.
All right. Well, viewers, thank you for watching. This has been a lot of fun. I hope that you subscribe, drop your questions in the comments, and let us know who you think could be the next breakout star. And, you know, as always, go Broncos.
Go Broncos. Thank you.